Good morning, CSL Greater Baltimore, and welcome to the 10 a.m. meditation. So let's just use our breath to signal our body to relax and release, breathing into and relaxing any place, space, awareness. Breathing out and releasing any tension, any thoughts of our to-do list. Breathing in, relaxing. Breathing out, surrendering. Now we surrender to this now moment. Breathing in softly, gently, fully. And breathe out with ease and grace. This month, we're being invited to think about living in everyday wonder, in particular relationships. And this week's topic is you and I are we. There's a phrase in this week's summary that says, we cannot claim to love God while hating ourselves. And I had a personal recognition that I do not think of myself as love. And if I were being completely honest, there are times of self-doubt and fear, self-loathing and negative talk. So in this meditation, I want to explore this idea of self-love. If we understand that God is all, absolute, always, and always, this holy, holy oneness, then God is love. I am love. You are love. And collectively, we are love. Let this awareness make you smile. A visible smile and an inner smile. A smile that lightens and softens all parts of your being. So let's continue being conscious of our smiling as we ask this question. How do I embrace self-love? How do I embrace self-love? How do I embrace myself as love? And we smile with full awareness and fully embracing all parts of ourselves as love. anything negative that comes up is an opportunity for love. Now see love as a color. You are completely surrounded and immersed in love, in this beautiful, loving color. Feel it. It feels so good. Last week, Reverend Ray asked, "Who were you before you were born? And who will you be after this life?" And I say, love. We come from love, and we will return to love. So now, as we are consciously living and breathing, we accept ourselves as love. When we are willing to do this for ourselves, then we have the capacity to expand this love to others that we are in relationship with. Imagine those that you are in relationship with. This can include those that have already transitioned. In love, there is no time or space or distance between us. Call your family, friends, and community to mind, one by one, and let's share our love with them. Surround them in your loving light. If someone is particularly difficult for you, just release all judgment and allow yourself the freedom, if you're willing, to see love, to smile love. If you can, take this love out into the world with those that you do not have a personal relationship with. If at any point you want to remain in just the awareness of self-love or sharing love with your close relationships, that's just great. But if you can, let's move this love, this shining, vibrant light that we are of love out into the world. Taking on Reverend Ray's concept of the platinum rule, paraphrasing, do unto others even when they do not know the truth of their being, and treat them with love. The truth of their being is love. So again, being willing to release all judgments, surround anyone else, any others that come to mind, any leaders that come to mind. Surround them in your loving light with your loving smile. Now bring your awareness to this planet, our earth home, and let our loving lights go out, penetrating, surrounding that which is the earth, that which is love. Surrounding nature, the plants and animals, the sky and oceans, feeling the love of the Mother Earth in our place and space on it, as we let this loving energy move out and expand and level us up. As we bring this meditation to a close, I want to thank you for being here today and sharing your powerful magnificence, your beautiful, loving light. We know that together in community, we are offered a unique, delightful experience to grow, to heal, revealing deeper meaning of this life as our life, as God's life, as love. So this is what I know. There's one power, one presence, the holy, holy oneness that is life expressing in, as, and through each one of us, because it is us. As we know the universe is expanding, we know that the God consciousness is expanding through each one of us. And in each moment that we choose love, that we choose to see love, that we choose to be love, that we choose to know ourselves in love, no matter what, we have always been this, and we will always be this. We are the magnificent light of love. We are the way that love shows up in our lives, in the lives of others, our community, our work, our earth space, changing, elevating, leveling up this consciousness. Just being so grateful for this awareness, being so grateful for this community, to see each other, to know each other, to celebrate each other, to smile into awareness, the magnificence that we are. I'm so grateful for this earth, place, and space. I'm grateful for conscious awareness. It is all good. It is all spirit, God, love, Yeshua, Buddha. It is all unfolding for our highest and best good. And I surrender into this. I surrender into this truth and trust with the faith of God. It is all good. All is well in my world right now. all is well in our world. All is happening for our highest and best, and we simply allow it to be. We are in the flow. We are held in the hands of love and grace at all times. It is good. It is so good. Amen. Ashlee. And so it is.
Hey now, where'd you go? I just saw you in the sunshine. Hey now, please don't go. I just saw you in the sunshine. In the sunshine, in the sunshine, in the sunshine. Hey now, we don't know where we're going or how to get there. Hey now, all we know is that we're going together in the sunshine, in the sunshine, in the sunshine. In the sunshine, in the sunshine, in the sunshine. Yeah, yeah. Hey now, hope you know I won't go. I'm here now. Hey now, walk with me, look and see. Together we'll be in the sunshine, in the sunshine, in the sunshine. In the sunshine, 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 in the sunshine. Yeah, yeah. Hey now, where'd you go? I just saw you.
I'm in the sunshine. God morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Baltimore's virtual service. Yup, that's right. I am Tracy Rhymes, your host. Our speaker is our spiritual director, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. Woo woo! Our musician who had us in the sunshine is Sahffi Lynne. Serving as today's practitioner who led that awesome pre-service meditation is Monaghan. Assisting with making this service open, inviting, and accessible to the deaf community are our sign language interpreters, Ashlee Goldman and Dresden Lamar. On behalf of Reverend Dr. Ray, thank you for your service. At CSLGB, every Sunday is an invite a friend, a family member Sunday. So make sure you spread the love, and invite someone to service. We would love to have them hang out with with us. Ha ha. Woo! Sue Monaghan has been a part of this teaching since 2004. She has been a practitioner since 2013. Sue believes that we are the point of power in our lives, that our essence is spiritual, and it is good. It is her desire to let Spirit reveal this wonderful truth through her. Sue is committed to CSLGB's vision that we are demonstrating a world that works for all. One life-affirming thought, word, feeling, deed, and one human interaction at a time. We all make a difference in other people's lives. May our light shine for all to see.
Good morning. Welcome to CSL Greater Baltimore. So glad that you could be here. So knowing this divine presence, this essence, the creative power and potential of all life, this expansive quality that I call God, that I call spirit, that I call good, that I call love, knowing that it is living and moving and having its beingness through us, as us. And today we come together and we dare to celebrate the wonderful magnificence that we are. We are the power of God. We are the love of God. We are the beauty and the joy of God. We are the sunshine of God. We are the light. I'm so grateful for being here. I'm so grateful for this invitation to serve. I'm so grateful for the magnificent music, for our wonderful Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson and his messages, for our host, and for our interpreters. What a magnificent day. And I'm so grateful that we are all in it. It is all good. It is all God. And so it is.
The Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Baltimore's community, honors the world's religions. One tree, many branches. One mountain, many paths. One world, many religions and spiritual traditions. With the lighting of these candles on the first Sunday of each month, we not only honor each person on their select path, but we also bless them and recognize the light, the love, and the life-affirming nature of spirit as it shows itself in each path, in each practice, and in each person.
You know what time it is. It's time for announcements. Woo woo. Y'all know I have to make it fun. So what you're going to do is come on and hang out, study and grow with the Wednesday night Science of Mind study group facilitated by Reverend Dr. Ray. And you can also hang out with the Thursday night study group facilitated by practitioner Sue Monaghan. Sign up for the CSLGB newsletter. The CSLGB Facebook and Instagram pages. Visit cslgreaterbaltimore.org and get more news and information, including what Reverend Dr. Ray is teaching in the larger CSL community. Nudge with this friendly reminder. You can share the CSLGB service link on your Facebook page. Go ahead. CSL Summer Movie Series has 11 movie lovers, speakers, and teachers who will present their interpretation of the spiritual message within a film they choose. Come with questions and curiosity. It will be a fun, insightful time for those who love a movie and for those who want to understand a deeper spirituality alive in cinema. Proceeds benefit CSL's Camp Cedar Ridge. Come on out or sign up. That's what I mean. If you have fundraising ideas and want to share or be on the fundraising committee, email Rainica Permetla. The CSLGB Building Committee is seeking assistance in a variety of ways to locate the right next home for CSLGB. For more information on how you can assist, email Dana Molden, Committee Chair. The email address is dana.molden@gmail.com. At CSLGB, every Sunday is a great day to choose this as your spiritual community, your spiritual family. The first step is to take the discovery class, which is offered online and can be taken at any time. Visit the website to learn more and enroll in the discovery class. To receive a daily text and voicemail from Reverend Dr. Ray, type JOIN to 833-663-9021 to begin receiving your daily inspiration. You will be glad you did. Prayer works. One more time. Prayer works. Yes, it does. Y'all better talk about it. We, as a community, continue to treat and move our feet, knowing the truth for everyone around the planet. Prayer requests can be sent at any time via email to info@cslgreaterbaltimore.org. Woo! Sahffi Lynne, who had us walking in the sunshine, is an international singer, songwriter, and vocal coach whose mission is to offer her music and teachings as medicine to open and connect our collective heart. Her spirit-inspired performances and channeled original songs have taken her melodies around the world, and her own vocal ladder method of teaching, singing, has lifted her students' voices and souls. Sign up for monthly emails from Sahffi on her website, Sahffi.com, or subscribe to her YouTube channel for weekly new videos. Just search Sahffi. Sahffi's new album, Post Evolution, is out. Check it out. Visit sahffi.bandcamp.com. Right now, take it away, Sahffi. Cha cha cha.
Good morning, Tracy. I love that I always get a cha-cha-cha. Good morning, everyone. A fresh new breeze is growing. The winds of change are blowing. Every moment is a miracle of life. Ancient wisdom has returned, and walking on this land we've learned that we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the elders, we are the children, we carry with us all that has ever been. We are the vision circling once again. And it is timeless, it is blossoming in the lives we live and the songs we sing. We are reconnected to the spirit of the earth. We are reconnected to the spirit of the earth. A fresh new breeze is growing. The winds of change are blowing. Every moment is a miracle of life.
Ooh, thank you, Sahffi. Thank you. That was beautiful. All right. Now, Sue returns to lead us in a spiritual practice.
Good morning. This morning's spiritual practice comes from the Science of Mind magazine, this July issue. The daily guides are being written by Reverend Dr. Jim Lockard. And he starts with two quotes. The first one is from Ram Dass, and he says, "If you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family." And a quote from Ernest Holmes, "Just accept then that no matter what your experience may have been until now, the truth about you is that while you were born of human parentage, the real you that came through this human parentage is an original, creative, wonderful being. You are God's beloved child." And Reverend Dr. Lockard writes, "Some of you were born into loving families, while others were born into families lacking a nurturing capacity. Some were born into families somewhere in between. Others have never known their family of origin. Whether our biological family is an occurrence of chance or a choice we made at the soul level, we get who we get. We get their genetic material, and if they care for us, we get the experience of their worldviews and temperaments. Whatever our circumstances, we do well to remember that we are of divine origin and unique gifts. As Ernest Holmes says, the real you is filled with potential, awaiting realization. Sometimes we are well into our lives before we understand this. For some, our family of origin assisted us along our path to realization. For others, this was not so. But if you are reading this now, you have found a path to realization of your authentic self, the real you. As adults of God, we are accountable for our thoughts, feelings, and actions. We all have to do the work of releasing limiting beliefs and adding thoughts of greater possibility, wisdom, and love, thereby making a better future. If you have the advantage of a loving home, be grateful and continue to grow from where you are. If you did not, then your path is one of forgiveness, gratitude, and continued growth from where you are. None of us are denied the possibility of continued growth. The affirmation for this reading: I am grateful to be alive and to be aware that I am now my own parent. I build my sense of self-love with every thought. I forgive anything in my past that led me to see myself in a limited way. Just opening to this idea of love, of born as love. We are the divine energy of love. It is who and what we are. And we have the choice to bring this in each and every moment into our own awareness of the self-love, of the divine energy that we are. We are unique and we have wonderful gifts to give. We are amazing. We are amazingly divine. And it is so good. I'm so grateful for these lessons, for these readings, for these teachings. I'm so grateful for this awareness and this invitation to go deeper, to dare to celebrate this life, our life of love, our community together. It is so good. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Sue. All right. Now, da-da-da. Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson is an ordained Centers for Spiritual Living minister serving the Centers for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore community as our spiritual director. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self-development, personal transformation, transmutation, and transfiguration, he has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man and visionary New Thought leader who makes complex metaphysical concepts readily understandable and applicable. His mission is to live, move, and be an active member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, and emancipate people and communities to awaken and empower themselves. ACTIVE is an acronym that stands for authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, empowered. And he continues to live his bliss as a teacher, minister, author, workshop and seminar facilitator, visual artist, ASL interpreter, and ASL performing artist, mentor, father, grandfather, and more. I give you Reverend Dr. Ray.
Namaste and greetings, everyone. Happy Sunday. So, as you've already heard from Sue's pre-service meditation when she introduced the theme, Living Everyday Wonder, this month we are talking about what it means to live everyday wonder via this thing called relationships. And today, specifically, we are talking about moving into the consciousness of the awareness of you and I are we. Now, why is that important? Because often in New Thought, we have this idea of pulling oneself up by your own bootstraps and rugged individualism. And we are transcending and moving beyond that to the collective, what it means to be in community, what it means to demonstrate conscious connection with one another. So, our focus this week, the relationships that we have with our friends and our family and our community and everyone else. Those who may not be specifically in our community, those who may not be specifically in our family, those who we may not refer to as our friends, but we are nonetheless in relationship with them if we really think about it. There are those that we refer to as strangers. Well, how are we in relationship with them? How do we relate to each person that we may refer to as a stranger? Because we encounter them in all kinds of ways, a glance, a head nod, a wave, a smile, a holding of the door for someone to enter a building. All of these ways, even though this person, we may never notice them or see them again. And yet, simply by crossing paths, God passing the path of God, God interacting with itself, relationship, even in that, things have shifted, things have moved. There's a gentleman by the name of William J. Toms, and we're going to rephrase this quote that he said. Be careful how you live. Be careful how you show up in life, because you may be the only representation of science of mind. You may be the only verse from the textbook, from the teaching. You may be the only affirmation or declaration of truth that someone gets to read or experience in life. Breathe. John Donne says, no man is an island, no person is an island entire of itself. Every person is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. No person exists in separation from God, entire to their own selves. Every person is part of the infinite oneness that is God. Each individual incarnation and yet individualized expression still part of the one. None of us can escape from being part of the one. And yet, in the middle of a crowd, while sitting at home with family and friends around, while having access on our smartphone to 4,629 phone numbers, email addresses, we still at times feel loneliness, separation, isolation, abandonment. Now, according to Psychology Today, loneliness is the state of distress or discomfort that results when one perceives a gap between one's desires for social connection and the actual experiences of it. So we perceive a gap between what we want to feel in terms of connection and what we actually feel in terms of connection. Think about many people who are in those aspects of community, the marginalized aspects of community. Think of the number of LGBTQ people who are closeted, who cannot be their true selves for fear of isolation or abandonment from friends and family, from community. the amount of loneliness that one feels by not being able to truly connect. Think of the number of people who, for whatever reason, do not feel connected with, able to be their full authentic selves, able to be with like-minded individuals who understand, not just on a superficial level, but truly understand you, truly understand the individual, truly understand their interests, their passions, their fears, their stresses, etc. Being able to open one's heart. Breathe. How many of us have either said or have expressed or have heard someone reference being alone in a crowd, saying, well, they wouldn't like me if they really knew me. They wouldn't like me. If they knew this about me, they wouldn't accept me. Yeah, I don't want to bother anyone. Like I'm not going to call, or I'm not going to, because I don't want to bother. I don't want to trouble. I don't want to be a burden to someone else. You know what? Why should they like me? I don't even like me. And so, even in the midst of being around folks, we feel lonely, isolated. And yet, Ernest Holmes gives us in the Science of Mind textbook, I am never alone and never lonely. For I have as companions and friends those people who are drawn to me by the ever active and immutable law of attraction. Now, I'm not going to read anymore, but you have access to the slides. All you got to do is reach out to Tracy or I. And of course, our amazing Sue Monaghan goes over this in our Thursday night study group. But the important thing is to recognize that we have access to this thing called the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. We have access to this ability to call to us those who are like-minded, those who are of the same community, those who we feel a bond. There are no strangers here, only friends that you haven't yet met. And one could say there are no enemies here, only friends you haven't yet encountered through a shift in their consciousness or a shift in our consciousness. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. But there are no strangers here. Breathe. Because there's this idea that says, one of the things that Sue mentioned in the pre-service meditation was this disconnect between recognizing that I am the beloved, I am the divine, I am spirit incarnating itself as me. And yet there's doubt and fear, stress and anxiety. There's all that low self-worth, low self-esteem. And so sometimes we can be a stranger to our own selves. In how we show up, we become our own greatest enemy. We are the adversary to our own joy and happiness, our own way of living, moving, and having our beingness at the highest level possible. We are the ones preventing it because we don't feel worthy, because we're not doing the work. We're not practicing the practice. Because it's easier to just go downstream. It's easy to sit in the consciousness of lack and scarcity and isolation. It's easier to sit in that. It's uncomfortable as all get out. It's uncomfortable. It's undesirable. And yet, because it's easier, it takes less effort, less practice per se, less conscious practice to shift out of it. Just like we know from Newton's laws of physics, an object not in motion will stay not in motion until something acts upon it. Sitting in lack and scarcity, you're going to sit there until something acts upon that and shifts and moves out of that. You need that push, that energy, that movement in order to get the evolutionary consciousness moving. So a big part of this whole idea of relationships, how do I have relationship with me? How do I show up in my own life? Where do I, regardless of what else is really, where do I hold this concept that I am the stranger, that I am the one who no one wants to know. I am the one who is unworthy of love and hugs and appreciation. Because there's this idea also in the general consciousness that we're all strangers to someone, right? There's always going to be someone you don't know. I don't know your name. I don't know where you're from. I don't know your nationality. There's always going to be some aspect of, there's no way we're going to know every person on the face of the planet by name, remember their birth dates, etc. So there's always this aspect of, but being a stranger doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Being a stranger doesn't mean we have to set up borders and boundaries to keep the strangers elsewhere. You follow me with that? Being a stranger is not the bad thing. There's Jim Morrison in this song says, people are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. In other words, breathe. In other words, breathe again. In other words, where and how are you judging? Because we don't see things as they are. We don't see people as they are. We see them, we experience them as we are. As we are. Through our filters and our baggage. What was that? What did Sue say? You think you're enlightened, right? Uh-huh. Spend a week with your family. See how enlightened you are. See how many Om Shantis you are throwing out there. See how many Om Shanti. We don't see things, we don't see events, we don't see conditions as they are. We see them as we are. Our relationships are filtered through how we are being in the world. Bose Harrington says, too many of us have tried to tone down our weirdness, our strangeness, our uniqueness. Too many of us have tried to tone down our illumination, turn down our light for our friends or partners, only later to learn that we are actually suppressing the best things about us. There's no joy like the joy of being your full, authentic, unapologetic, strange self, and finding that there are people who love you just as you are for that. Why would the infinite show up as each and every one of us simply to be a carbon copy of each one of us? If you're familiar with Star Trek, sorry, Tracy, Star Wars, then you may remember the stormtroopers. She's laughing. The stormtroopers, what's one common characteristic? Not only do they all look alike from the armor, but in the original, they are all clones of one particular person. They're carbon copies of. Now, granted, they have their own personalities and stuff, but they're carbon copies. Why would the infinite show up as carbon copies? For what purpose? We are here to be divine, unique incarnations of. Blessed are the weird people, for they are the poets, the misfits, the artists, the writers, and music makers, the dreamers, and the outsiders. They force us, encourage us, invite us to see the world differently, and in seeing the world differently and having that vision, we then make the world different. We make a world that works for all. Breathe. There's this passage in Leviticus that says, you shall treat the stranger, right, who sojourns with you, who is living among you, as you treat those who are native or native born among you. And you shall love that person, that stranger, as you love yourself. We don't see others the way they are. We see them as we are. So if I do not have love for myself, how do I love this other person? Treat the foreigner, treat the stranger, treat the other person as you are able first to treat yourself. And then treat them with that love and respect and honoring that God deserves. But if we are coming from this consciousness of separate, lack, fear, low self-worth, then it is very challenging to love ourselves, first of all, but then to extend that to loving someone else. So our invitation is to not only look beyond the walls in terms of making these connections, but to remove the walls and become a leader who creates bridges, because we are all those people on the other side of that. So rather than being those people, let's just be the people. No matter where we are, no matter who is, we are the people. We are people. We are the infinite showing up in, through, and as everything and everyone. In Matthew, it says, and Yeshua told him, you shalt love the Lord thy God with thy whole heart and with thy whole soul and with thy whole mind, and you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, let's take that into account by referencing what Ernest Holmes says regarding this idea of the only God you will ever know is the one you will discover within yourself. And the only God you and I will ever know is the one that we embody. So, taking that reference point, let's revisit. And Yeshua said to them, you shall love yourself, for you are the Lord God incarnating. Love yourself with your whole heart. Love yourself with your whole soul. And love yourself with your whole mind. And then love your neighbor as yourself, because you recognize your neighbor as God also incarnating as them. Breathe. Because on a certain level, this is asking a lot. Because it seems common sense. Love yourself. Love yourself. Take care of yourself. Nurture yourself. Understand your own self-worth and value. But when you have had years and years of indoctrination, it's not that easy to shake away from in order to recognize love of and for yourself. And from the overflow, you now are able to love and care and be supportive to others. As Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, let us build bridges, not walls. Let us build bridges within our own selves, bridges between our hearts and our minds, our bodies and our spirit. Let us build bridges so that we can then connect with others. Ernest Holmes says, love is the only final security in the universe. Love is the greatest healing power in the universe, the only thing that binds people together in a community of spirit. Love. Love is that. Are we willing to erase the borders and boundaries that separate us? Even while others are in the process of crafting and drawing more of them, are we willing to do the work to erase them? Edwin Markham says, he drew a circle that shut me out. Heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. but love and I had wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. Are we willing to draw circles and envelop and bring others into the consciousness of love? Every person is an incarnation of God. And since each person is an individual, everyone is a unique incarnation. Everyone is a unique incarnation. We are not meant to be carbon copies. We are not meant to be carbon copies. We are meant to be unique and special. Not more special than anyone else, but special in our own right, unique in our own right. My love goes out to everyone in the world. But does it? My love goes out to everyone in the world. But does it? My love goes out to everyone in the world. But does it? See, there's this movie called The Best of Enemies, which is based upon a real life story where these two individuals, Anne Atwater, civil rights activist, and C.P. Ellis, at one time the exalted cyclops of his local KKK. And through a series of events, these two individuals became friends. You say that again? These two individuals, Black woman, exalted cyclops of the KKK, became friends. My love goes out to the entire world. Okay, yeah, I hear you. But then there's Zernona Clayton, civil rights legend, very active, friend and mentor, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., you know, his words still ring in her ears. If you can change a man's heart, if you can change a person's heart, then you can regulate, you can change their behavior. If you can change their heart, if you can change their consciousness, then you can change their behavior. There was this one day where Clayton returns home to find dozens of cars outside of her house, police cars and TV cameras and all kinds of stuff. And what had happened was, as it says, it turned out that they were looking for me, she says, because Calvin Craig had a press conference earlier announcing that he was coming out of the Klan. He was denouncing the Klan, and he credited a Black woman with changing his negative attitudes. And I was that Black woman. And my love goes out to the entire world. How? But how? If you can change a person's heart, you can change their behavior. If you can change their heart. Daryl Davis speaks of, recruiting and shifting and becoming friends, recruiting friends of KKK members and collecting their robes as they surrender and denounce the Klan. And one of his biggest things that he confronts them with is, how can you hate me when you don't even know me? And when someone begins to marinate on that, how can I hate you when I don't even know you? I'm hating a concept. And then the conversation begins. The dialogue deepens. Because if you can change a person's heart, then you can change their behavior. My love goes out to the entire world. Blessed are the misfits, the music makers, such as Daryl Davis, who has converted hundreds of former KKK members over an expansive time of 30 years. Blessed are those who are willing to step outside of convention and let their love be a transformative power. Breathe. What do these two people have in common? Michael Kent, former neo-Nazi, and Dr. Bernice King, the daughter of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What do they have in common? How in the world could two people such as them become friends? Well, let's introduce the person that became in the middle, Tiffany Whittier. She was the probation officer for Michael Kent while he was in prison. And because of how Tiffany saw him, how she saw through the tattoos, the swastikas, how she saw through all of the rhetoric and racist dogma and saw to the man's heart and spoke to the man's heart. And because she saw him as someone different, he was then able to see himself as someone different. And not only did they develop a respect and a friendship, but because of that, eventually, the daughter of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Bernice King, Dr. Bernice King, she and this gentleman became friends. And how does this happen? Because of grace. Straight and simple grace. But what is grace? When we talk about it in terms of this, what are we talking about? We're talking about this understanding, this godliness, realized, always compassionately expressing. Godliness realized. When you realize and understand who and what you are, then you have no choice but to always compassionately express that knowing. And it moves through you. So you have that compassion for yourself. You have that love for yourself. You have grace for yourself. And because you have it for yourself, you are then able to extend it to I give, I shine, I share my love with the world, because I know that as I do so, as I change the hearts, the consciousness of others, then their behaviors change as well. And a world that works for all requires a level of consciousness that thus far has never existed before, because the world that we live in now has never existed as it does now. This moment is the only time this moment has ever been and ever will be. Never before have so many people on the planet had the news and mass information, abundance of social connections so readily available on these little microcomputers or smartphones that we carry pretty much everywhere we go. And because of this oversaturation of media and news and stuff, it's easy to lose connection. We think we are connected, but because of this oversaturation, we actually are less connected. So in order to manifest a new world, a world that works, then we must evolve into a new consciousness, a consciousness that calls us into true, authentic, deeper levels of connection, both in person and via technology. You know, this pandemic had pushed us further away physically, and yet we came together in powerful ways, virtually and digitally. So today we are called to connect with others in new and more powerful ways, to communicate, to collaborate, to cooperate with others in wonderful and meaningful ways, ways that nurture, ways that empower, ways that recognize, realize, and engage, that pledge us and bind us to ourselves and with one another. Because of this unconditional, immutable, irrefutable, and irresistible power of love. Breathe. This week's practice: 1. Journal about what might shift in the collective consciousness if we refer to everything as ours. Everyone is our family. Every CSL is our CSL. Every person, our family. Every person, our friend. Every country, every nation is a part of, it's our country, it's our planet, it's ours. Breathe. What might this stir within us? greater levels of compassion and stewardship? What might this stir within us when we recognize not only am I not simply my brother's keeper or my sister's keeper or the keeper of my gender neutral, gender rich sibling, but I am them and they are me. We are each other. What might shift in the collective consciousness if that was the paradigm we came from? 2, when I think of other people who are not like me, people who I may know very little about, who comes to mind? For example, suppose I am a cisgender white heterosexual man. Do I know any transgender women of color? If not, am I willing and able to have a conversation to get to know someone and ultimately find a bond that connects us and build a relationship or friendship? Am I willing to know someone, to meet someone who isn't like me? Step outside of my comfort zone because that individual is my brother, is my sister, is my gender rich sibling, and they are me. And then lastly, have a conversation with 3 people about what prevents us from having these kinds of conversations and discussions about such things as faith and religion, sex, money, and politics. What prevents us from having conversations about those things? Because all of them are ways that we as humans interact within the world. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, said, anything that is mentionable is manageable. If we can get to the place of having conversation about everything, then we can get to each other's hearts. We can get to each other's consciousness. We can get to a world that works for all. But for as long as we put things, we don't talk about that. We can't talk about that. Then we don't grow, we don't evolve. Each of these things, as I said, relates to how we show up as humans. What is it about them that causes friction and distance rather than understanding and connection? Have a conversation about each of these with your 3 people. Talk about faith and religion. Talk about sex. Talk about money and politics. Go in and talk. As Gurdjieff says, live a life of friction. Let yourself be disturbed as much as possible, but observe. And lastly, in line with that, it's the troubled waters where healing occurred. You've heard me mention multiple times, wade in the water. God is going to trouble. God is going to friction the waters. And it is in that friction, that agitated water, that clothes are clean. It is in that agitated water that healing occurs. It is in that agitation. We are here to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Breathe. This week's declaration, I will say it first, and if you feel in alignment, say it with me on the second go round. I celebrate the we, which is intimately one with itself. Together. I celebrate the we, which is intimately one with itself. Breathe. Breathe. Intimately one with itself. I celebrate the we. And so as we, in this energy of celebration, we now celebrate the we that is our divine family member, our divine and beloved community member, our divine Sahffi. Recognizing that Sahffi isn't just singing about the sunshine. Sahffi isn't just singing about Mother Earth. Sahffi isn't just singing. Sahffi is the song. Sahffi is the incarnation of, what did it say? Blessed are the misfits, for they are the music makers. And it is in this music that Sahffi offers her healing to us. Let us receive. Namaste, blessings, and much love, Sahffi.
Oh, Reverend Dr. Ray, you got me crying over here. Thank you so much. What a timely message this morning. And then you said gender rich, and I'm like, oh, I love myself even more. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you, Ashlee. And I want to invite everyone to sing along because I'm feeling this love. And this is one of my favorite songs, of course, being a brass player. And I know you know it, so go ahead and sing along with me. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah. I love you all. Thank you so much.
And we love you too. Yes, yes. What a wonderful world. And I think to myself, with such power and presence, that when I go out into the world, that wonderful thought, that wonderful feeling is how I show up. So I don't just show up talking about a wonderful world. I live it because it is anchored deeply in my consciousness. Is what Sahffi just sang when she said, you know, I see friends shaking hands. I see people namaste. And what they are doing, they are saying, they are sharing the energy of, I see you, I recognize you, I love you, I'm here for you. Because we know there's a lot going on in the world where it doesn't quite seem so wonderful. So knowing that we have connection, knowing that we are here for one another, knowing that we think to ourselves and show up knowing it is a wonderful world. Why? Because you are a wonderful person. Each one of us is a wonderful incarnation of love itself. How could this not be a wonderful world? Thank you, Sahffi.
Thank you.
Breathing. Does Sahffi just make me cry? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This wasn't supposed to be that kind of service, Sahffi. Come on now. What was that? What was that? You getting even? You said I made you cry, so you breathe. Woo, wow. So at this time of service, we recognize the practice of being anchored in the principle of the law of circulation, recognizing that as we sow into our beloved community, as we tithe, as we donate, we are demonstrating what this beloved community is. And because we are recognizing that this community is everyone's community, and that everyone else's community is our community, we are doing this work to actualize and elevate all of CSL, every church, every mosque, every synagogue, every temple. We are here to recognize and elevate all of it everywhere. And while there right now we may recognize, but Reverend Ray, there are some churches that are, anti-trans and yeah, I hear you, but my love goes out to the entire world, right? And when we can reach and communicate and talk to and change a person's heart. And so right here in what we are doing by actively building this community, by working with Rainica to build the funds for this community, then we know that we are able to reach aspects and corners of the globe where there feels by people this is not a wonderful world, where there feels for people this is a world of war and condemnation. And yet it is when we are anchored in this principle that we are able to start to shift, to provide classes, to provide resources, blessing bags, and food, and shelter, and clothing, and education, and more and more and more. Imagine for a moment, no, I'm off on a tangent, Tracy. Imagine for a moment that there was a CSL Greater Baltimore world tour where Sahffi, Reverend Ray, Sue, and some of the practitioners, a couple other musicians, where we literally travel the planet bringing this love, this light, this recognition and understanding to people all over the world. Imagine. Let that sink in. What might shift? What would shift if that manifested? Well, that's what we are here to do. That is what it means to offer and tithe and donate. And so if you are unaware, this is maybe your first time, the Practitioner Corps, the Practitioners of Distinction, have pledged an additional $50,000 on top of their regular monthly tithes. And as of the end of June, that number is $15,425. The community's matching pledge as of the end of June, and this is also on top of their regular plate to pledge tithes, $2,775. And if you're wondering, well, how do I tithe? How do I do this? You have options: PayPal, Givelify, text messaging, text to give, and the postal mail service. If you ever have questions about any of this or anything regarding tithing, donating, love offerings, etc., reach out to our amazing treasurer, Sue Monaghan. Reach out to myself if you ever have questions about maybe you want to divide a portion of your offering in one way, shape, or form. I want to offer to the world tour. I want to offer to Ministry of Education, to the youth ministry. I want to divide a portion to these things. How do I do that? Reach out and Sue will make sure you get your questions answered. Breathe. Here at CSL Greater Baltimore, we declare this declaration of financial wealth and abundance, but we understand it's not just the money, it's wealth and abundance and prosperity and opulence in our health and well-being, in our relationships, in our spiritual practices. It's in all of the ways that we show up as multi-layered, multi-dimensional, multi-experiential beings. So we are declaring that we have wealth, abundance, love, wealth, abundance, health, wealth, abundance, friendships and connections, wealth and abundance in all of these areas. And if that's in alignment with you, then let us declare this together. I joyfully, consciously, and gratefully participate in the law of circulation. I trust in the principle, the spiritual principle that says, As I sow into my beloved community, I demonstrate my awareness of standing not only in the flow, but as the flow itself. As I sow of myself, my time, my treasure, my talent, I demonstrate my support and engagement in my community's vision, mission, and purpose. I actively give as a demonstration of manifesting, of reaping the harvest of a world that works for all. Breathe. You are an amazing and awesome and powerful and present and precious being. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for all of the ways that you do you, right? Like all of the ways that, like Sahffi, all of the ways that she teaches and shares on social media when she's, out in the woods beside waters, that just seeing her there puts me in a state of wow, and I'm calm. Wow, and I'm peaceful. Why? Because that radiance, that resonance, it's always present. So thank you for all of the ways that you show up. Thank you, Dresden and Ashlee, for showing up as these amazing interpreters who provide access to our service. Thank you for how you show up. Thank you for the comedy. Thank you for, just being you, even when the teapot runs dry. Thank you for being you. Thank you, Tracy, for all of the amazing ways that you are Tracy. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, everybody, for all that you are and all that you do. And just as an FYI, Sue makes this amazing salsa. Oh my, thank you, God. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for how you show up. Thank you for everyone who's online. Thank you for everyone who's moving the community into our next right and perfect building. Thank you for you being the divine incarnation that you are. What'd you say, Tracy? I can't hear nothing you saying. So today after service, let's go over to the Zoom room, and if you want prayer with Sue, practitioner on duty today, type the word prayer in the chat box and Tracy will put you in a breakout room with Sue. And keep in mind, you don't have to wait for something to not be going well. You can pray it up, pray yourself up, pray in the consciousness of, I'm doing well. Like I'm at an 8, and Sue can pray you to a 12. So let's join us over in the Zoom room for fellowship, for conversation, for laughter, and for prayer. Ready? Let's anchor in the consciousness of knowing. Knowing that there is only one power and one presence called by many names, and that very power and presence is who and what each one of us is. It is what smiles this face. It is what sees through these eyes. It is what moves these hands. It is what beats this heart. It is what lives this thing called life. It is what is acting upon itself, because there is only that which it is. The divine, love, loving itself, living itself, breathing itself, showing up as itself. And that self is you. That self is me. That self is we. And right here and right now, we are the makers of music. We are the ones who imagine, who envision a world of peace and love, camaraderie, joy, a world that works for all. We anchor in this knowing that the law says yes. And because the law says yes, we know that everything from Sue's opening meditation to Sahffi's pre-service music, all the way through Tracy's hosting, Sue's in-service spiritual practice, Sahffi's music, my talk, all the way till now, and what comes after. It is all already answered prayer. So we allow it to be exactly that by saying, Amen, Ashe, Aho, and so it is. Amen. See you over in Zoom.